Welcome back to the Sibling Group Chat. I'm Owen.
And I'm Cassidy.
And today we are back at it with the Odyssey review, episode 37, The Last Great Adventure of the Summer.
Yes, this is the last great episode of Album 2, The Wildest Summer Ever. It is the 42nd episode of Adventures in Odyssey. It originally aired on September 3rd, 1988, which further drives home the fact that the kids in Odyssey don't start school till after Labor Day. That's neither here nor there, but in this episode, young Terry Johnston and his father, who's in the CIA, just slight spoiler, take a sudden and dangerous journey around the world while being pursued by a master criminal. Our themes are God's protection and Dad as a hero.
That's a fun theme. That's great.
I mean, it's true, but it's just funny to list as a
Yeah,
theme.
and as you mentioned, this is the last episode of Album 2, so our Album 2 tier list should be coming out on Friday.
Yes,
Correct.
Yes,
Friday.
we decided to not make these our monthly bonuses because that will really limit how many bonus episodes we can do, and we have lots of ideas for those.
We wanted to try to branch away from only Odyssey content just because we have so many ideas, not because we don't like making Odyssey content. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But
we just want to give more
we want to
content.
branch out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we want to
yeah.
give more in addition to our Odyssey content.
Yep, so tier lists, we're going to try to just have them come out the Friday after the last episode airs, and those, as a reminder, are exclusive to YouTube. So if you're listening somewhere
Because
else...
we want you to be able to see.
Yeah, a tier list just doesn't translate real well to audio only, so...
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And then last thing before we actually hop into the episode, and maybe we could talk about this now or at the end, but the cover art that they made for this episode really bothers me.
I want to talk about this too.
Should we do it now or later? Might as well just do it now.
Might as well do it now, because it's at the beginning of my notes.
Yeah. Well, that's because I saw it when I turned on the episode, and I'm like, before I even started listening, I'm like, this cover art is awful.
Yeah.
It shows Mr. Whitaker and a kid running around the corner of a building with like a sketchy dude, but not too far behind them. Mr. Whitaker is in this episode for less than 20% of the episode. He's there for like the first couple, like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, so the picture itself is a problem, but what I notice is the art itself is a problem, because I don't know if you could tell, you can go back and look at this, the drawing of Mr. Whitaker, the body was very clearly this, when this drawing was originally done, probably around the time the episode came out, it was how Wit was being done at that time. No offense, chubby Wit, as you may call him. You know, this Mr. Whitaker,
Yeah.
up here, above my head. But the head has been cropped on to current skinny Wit.
I need to go back and look at
Go
this now. I didn't
go look at
notice
it
that.
right now, if you'd like. And I've
No, I
noticed
do.
this. Club art is a bit of a discussion online, I feel like, right now.
I saw one the other day. I think it was on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some that look like AI art, but what I have noticed is that they're sticking a lot of, I believe it's Gary Locke is the illustrator right now. They're
So
sticking
you
a
know
lot
you're
of
right. That is the face of new Mr. Whitaker.
Yeah, so they're sticking a lot of Gary Locke's illustrations heads on older art, and some of them are cropped better than others.
This one's not awful.
This one's not too bad, but it's very obviously that the body is chubby Wit and the head is skinny Gary Locke Wit. So a lot of the club art right now, I've noticed, you can look through episodes that have episode-specific art, they're cropping heads onto different pieces of
That's interesting.
drawing. And
But yeah,
personally not
the
a
problem I had with it was just that it's not accurate to the episode at all, because Mr. Whitaker is not involved in the high stakes chasing and all other, honestly, anything mystery, CIA, spy stuff, which, not to say Mr. Whitaker wouldn't be involved in that kind of thing, but in this specific episode, he is not at all involved in it.
Yeah, the art is just a problem in general.
Yeah.
And while we're on the topic of Mr. Whitaker and the CIA, if this episode was made later in Odyssey, do you think it would be the CIA, or what is that Wit works for, the NSA?
I don't actually know who
They
he
normally
works
just call
for.
it the
He's
agency.
just the agent. Yeah,
But I feel
he
like
works
it's-
for the agency.
Yeah, but I feel like they sometimes call it like the National Security Agency. Like they don't, later in Odyssey, they don't often use CIA and FBI.
Yeah,
So, I don't
maybe
know.
the nation told them not to.
Yeah, like, you're getting a little too close for comfort.
This was incredibly accurate, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know, all those things Jared is saying, they're true.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's get into it. It's the last weekend of the summer. And Whit is telling Terry Johnston about all the fun stuff that had happened over the summer, aka throughout album 2 that this is our last episode covering.
Yeah, and I feel like this is unique. Compared to album 1, this is unique, but I feel like this is unique to Odyssey in general. We don't often get like an album recap if the whole album wasn't one story arc.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of fun. I don't think you often see that much continuity in an album if it's not one story arc. So
I mean, there's no overarching story arc other than that it's summer in the album.
Yeah, there's this overarching premise that all happens during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Whit recounts like the radio station, VBS, camp. He mentions that Brad and Sherman are still doing their thing on Odyssey, whatever number it was.
104, I think.
Yeah, something like, I think it was 103. I don't know.
It's
whatever.
just not 105.
It's not 105. And I'm trying to think. He says something about like mysteries or something, but he doesn't specifically say.
All he says was solving mysteries. Yeah. That was it.
Doesn't say anything about, the murder mysteries or anything. Just mysteries.
Just mysteries.
Yeah, and I think so. Basically, yeah, he just recounts he mentions the tornado as well. That's what it was.
And I don't know. I think this is something I wouldn't mind seeing more throughout Odyssey is referencing other episodes, because I feel like often the episodes seem so like singular to themselves.
Yeah. There are occasions where it happens, but not often. Like sometimes when it is like a major overarching storyline, obviously they're going to refer to other stuff. But when it's not, I don't think it gets referred to enough. And I think you're right. It would be kind of fun to have episodes like this,
and especially this recently. Like normally, if you're referring to something, it's like, oh, this was years ago. This was last year. This is just like this is what's happened in the last couple months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of fun because it doesn't mean the story is necessarily have to do anything. It just like lets you onto the fact that like it's all happening in Odyssey, and other Odyssey people are aware of what happened, basically.
Yeah, you don't often think about people who aren't in an episode still knowing about what happened in that episode, but they do.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Terry is rather dejected as Whit is telling him this, and then all of a sudden he just goes, "Oh, Mr. Whitaker, this has been a horrible summer."
Yeah, he's just been like trying to hold it together all this time.
And his voice is familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. I think we've had it before.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I can't place it as any like one specific person.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does other voices, I think, because
it either has been used before or it will be used again. The actor, not it. The kid's voice.
It as in the voice, not it as in the kid.
So yeah, I couldn't place it, but I know it's in other episodes.
Yeah.
He is in other episodes.
Yeah. Terry is all dejected because he and his dad haven't done anything all summer except for go to the library to watch documentaries. And he said his dad's been like this ever since his mom died. Mm-hmm. How long ago do you think his mom died? Because depending on parts of the episode, sometimes I feel like it's been a year or so, and sometimes I feel like she died right at the beginning of the summer.
I think it's not all that long ago for sure.
Yeah.
I want to say it's a little earlier than at the beginning of the summer because I feel like it would be more understandable. If it was been right at the beginning of the summer, it would make sense that they hadn't done much all summer.
Yeah, Terry doesn't really seem to be grieving his mom. Like, obviously, like, he's still sad that it's like, his mom has died. But he's not like freshly, like, still grieving her loss. So it does seem to have been a while.
And so, like you said, they hadn't done much all summer. But he said not only has it been, like his dad has been that way since his mom died, he said it wasn't really any different before she died in terms of spending time with his dad anyway, because his dad was always gone with his job. Mm-hmm. So Terry and his dad, it's not that they don't have a bad relationship, Terry doesn't feel like they really do anything, and it kind of disappoints him, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And we can also tell, not only has Terry not done anything with his dad hasn't really let him do anything himself. Like, he wasn't at VBS, he didn't go to camp.
He didn't even go to Wits End.
Yeah, he hasn't really been around at all. He's just been at home with his dad.
Yeah. Then Terry's dad comes up as Terry was saying that he doesn't tell his dad about it because he thinks he somewhat understands because he thinks his dad is just still sad because of his mom and he doesn't want to bring her up, basically.
Yeah.
Then his dad, George, comes up and he's talking, settles Wit, place has really changed since the last time he's been in there. It's been a while. And then Wit was saying, well, I was going to just apologize for the mess because of all this trash that I haven't had a chance to take out because Connie couldn't come into work that day.
He doesn't say couldn't, he says didn't.
Oh, does he?
It almost makes it sound like she was supposed to be there and she just didn't show up, which I don't think is the case because Wit would have called her.
I got the impression it was just that she didn't, as in, couldn't come that day.
Yeah, I think that's the impression we're supposed to get, but he says Connie didn't show up for work today.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But so George volunteers/voluntells Terry to grab some trash. They're gonna take some out for Wit, help him out. Mm-hmm. And so they do. And as they're leaving the front, Terry, kind of under his breath a little bit to Mr. Whittaker, says, "Time for another fun-filled evening."
Yeah. Because they go into the library to watch a nature documentary.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But then as they open some back gate to the dumpster to take this trash out, we get a mysterious figure who says something along the lines, I don't remember exactly, but it's like, "Cat's paw, we meet again." Something like that. Which I just like to say. Well, it makes sense that he found him in Odyssey and was following him. Why was he waiting for him by the dumpster?
I was thinking that too. I was like, other than for the plot, why are they taking out the trash? Why is he hiding with the trash?
The only way you could possibly make sense is if he was in Wit's End watching them, knew they were going to take out the trash, and
or if they parked behind Wit's End because maybe the dad's trying to remain inconspicuous.
Maybe. But yeah, that was honestly maybe the only thing that jumped out to me as why? Why is he by the dumpster? Why was he not
Especially if the dumpster has a gate around it, because nowhere else do I feel like I get the impression that the dumpster area is enclosed. So if it wasn't and he was just by the dumpsters, that would make sense. But the fact that he had to open this gate, go inside, which if they didn't go to the dumpsters would have hindered him following them.
Yeah. He's just waiting behind the dumpster. Are they coming?
Yeah. So maybe, like you said, maybe he was in Wit's End and he snuck out the back or something.
Something like that. That was the only one that was
yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on here. But yeah, anyway. He calls him Cat's Paw multiple times, which you can infer is George's, agent code name.
Yeah.
And he says he wants a formula. Well, Terry, and it's at this point, you can put it together based on Terry's reaction and what he told Mr. Whittaker earlier. When Terry, all he said was that his dad was always gone for his job, and then the fact that he's so confused here makes you realize Terry doesn't have a clue what his dad's job was.
Well, and we don't either. At this point, as an audience, if you've never listened to it before, you're as equally as confused as Terry is at this point.
That's true, yes. And Terry's like, why do you keep calling him Cat's Paw? His name is George.
George Johnston. And Nigel's like, ooh, George Johnston.
And then George, a.k.a. Cat's Paw, is just like, well, this has been fun. Wham, pow, smack.
Dad, you decked him.
And I'm guessing that there's still trash on the sidewalk by Wit's End, by the way.
You never know. Maybe Cat's Paw let them throw it in the dumpster before they left.
Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, after George decks him, they make a run for it, get to their car. He must not have knocked him out or anything though, because he gets to following them rather quickly.
Yeah, I think he probably just stunned him, knocked him down. Maybe closed the gate behind him.
Something. Because they get in the car takes a little bit to start, but not too long, and then they get going, and Nigel, do we have his name yet?
We don't. Right now, in my notes, I just refer to him as Man with the Black Gloves, because that's what Terry is calling him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, his name is Nigel.
Yeah, and Nigel is following them. They stop at the train station to try to get lost in a crowd. I can't imagine there would be that big of a crowd at the Odyssey train station.
Probably not. Before we get to the train station is when Terry finds out.
Terry gets an explanation about his dad's job. His dad has been is a CIA agent. He joined right out of college.
That we don't know yet.
Yeah, he tells him that right there, doesn't he?
No, he tells him that in the train.
Oh. He's a CIA agent.
Here, because Terry's like, the CIA? You work for you're like a spy or something like that. And his dad's like, no, not exactly. I work for the government, just like
Just
the
like the
mailman.
postman.
Which this makes me think of Wooten naturally as the Odyssey mailman. I just think Wooten would love to be compared to like the same equivalent as a CIA agent.
He
Just
would.
working for the government.
Yeah. And I'm trying to. So some of the explanation happens later into more. Basically, it's that he's a CIA agent, and the other guy is trying to get him. Basically.
Yeah. Terry was under the impression that his dad was a traveling shoe salesman.
Yes. Which is a little odd because his dad doesn't go anywhere. I thought.
He travels for work, but I don't think he has been recently.
Okay, so his dad just hasn't been working recently, and he probably
Yeah.
never was a shoe salesman. Actually.
No, the shoe business is slow in the summer because nobody's wearing shoes.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. I was always a little confused about the shoe salesman part.
I mean, we don't live in the era of traveling salesmen, so I don't know. Is that something they would have sold?
Well, I was almost thinking like it's just like since they've been in Odyssey, his dad just worked at a store or something selling shoes or something.
Well, I think he says traveling shoe salesman.
I thought he just said a shoe salesman.
Well, maybe because Terry does say his dad travels for work a lot, and he also says he's a shoe salesman. So maybe I just put that together.
Yeah, no, that would make sense. That was
maybe
just what he was told.
Or maybe he sells the shoes to the shoe stores, and that's why he travels.
I don't know. But
But
anyway,
yeah, he
Terry
probably
has a
doesn't
somewhat
look that
humorous line. He's like, "You're a shoe salesman. What did you sell him the wrong size?"
Yeah.
Then anyway, they get to the train station, get into a crowd. They're running around or trying to hide. Then Nigel, Black Gloves dude, is like, "Cat's paw!" And so they keep running. They leave the crowd, cross some train tracks, hop in a boxcar, and I think it's a little odd because George had moments before when they were in the crowd said something. Well, Terry said something like he thinks I think we lost him, and George's like he didn't trace me all the way to Odyssey just to lose me in a crowded train station. But then when they get to the boxcar, it's rather quickly George's like, okay, I think we're good.
Well, I don't. I think he was hoping Catspaw didn't see where they went, so he was hoping that they, yeah.
Yeah, but regardless, Catspaw. I've always inferred that he knew exactly where they were, even though they weren't sure he did, because he says his line right next to the train car.
Yeah, I realized we both keep accidentally calling Nigel Catspaw, so we both have done it now. Yeah, so sorry, audience.
Whoops.
Hope you're not confused.
Catspaw is George. Nigel is Black Gloves.
Yes. But yeah, he does quickly. I think did they close themselves into the boxcar?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he very outside is like, I don't remember what he says. Like,
if you think I've lost you, Catspaw,
you're wrong.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, but then he leaves.
Yes.
And
then the train starts moving and they can't get out.
Mm-hmm. So they're just along for the ride.
Yep.
And when they were in the train station, you could hear over like the announcer system, like now boarding the Eastern Unlimited. So later you figure out they boarded this train that's going to New York, but they don't really know all of that yet.
Yeah. So yeah, they're in the boxcar, and it's on the train now. George apologizes to Terry for how boring the summer was. He says part of the reason is because since his wife passed, he hasn't wanted to let Terry out of his sight, and he figured if he let him go to camp or anything, he might never see him again, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Because he knew this moment was coming.
Well, partially, but it was also because his wife died.
Well, yes, there is that, but I think there was also the very real thing of like, if this mission doesn't succeed.
I'm pretty sure it was just because his wife died.
I've always took it as it was job related.
I took it the other way.
Maybe it's a double meaning.
It could be. Regardless, he did know that this mission was coming. We find that out a little bit more later, but he didn't intend for Terry to be with him when it started, essentially.
Yeah, which then is like, well, if you aren't going to let Terry out of your sight, how is it ever going to not involve Terry?
And also, since you are just by yourself, and this is obviously taking at least a couple of days to happen, is Terry just going to be confused where his dad went for a couple of days?
I don't know.
It's not like
it's not like I think it's just about 24 hours.
I think it's at least a day because of them traveling to New York, getting knocked out in a plane all the way. It has to take at least a full day.
I suppose.
On to a second day, I mean.
48 hours.
Yeah,
maybe
I think within
28
2
hours.
days. Within 2 to 3 days is
Yeah.
my opinion.
Do you ever catch? So they're on the train. Terry, like George is explaining the stuff to Terry. Tells him he joined right out of college. But before all of that, they talk about what they had for supper. And
Yeah, I
Terry
always
says,
wondered, where did he have this stuff with
I
him?
think he probably has backup food because he never knows anything. But like, so Terry says there was peanuts, and I can never catch what he says they have for dessert.
I never could either.
I've never like the only thing it kind of sounds like two syrups, which doesn't
Yeah,
make
that's
any
that's the
sense.
closest thing I could hear, honestly,
I
too.
know. I've never been able to tell what they say there. So if somebody knows what they say, please tell us. I'm dying to know because two syrups for dessert doesn't make any sense.
You don't just ever guzzle syrup for dessert.
Well, especially because Terry says the peanuts were rough, but the whatever for dessert was great.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is.
We want to know, what did you have for dessert, Terry?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you mentioned that he joined out of college. He also explains a little bit about who the Black Gloves guy is. He says he works for an international syndicate. He doesn't say crime syndicate, I don't think, but it's inferred, obviously, that he's doing things illegally. And the operations have been upset by George, a.k.a. Cat's Paw, multiple times. So not only is the guy in the black gloves, who still, I don't think we know his name yet. I don't think we get that till they're on the plane.
Yeah.
Not only does he want the formula, as he said, which George theoretically has, you're fairly certain he does, but not 100%. But he also just wants to get George because George has been a thorn in their operations, basically. And this is where Terry asks him about the black, because not only does he wear black gloves, it seems that he wears like all black all the time.
I think so, yeah.
And George says that's been his trademark. He always does that.
Obviously, he's a criminal. What else would he be wearing?
Pink with purple polka dots.
That would be a fashion statement for sure.
But anyway, when they stop, I think they're still locked in. They
Yeah.
can see out like a crack or something that they're in the Manhattan train yard. And then there's like a weird noise because, well, Terry's like, oh, we're so far away from Odyssey. There's no way that Black Gloves dude is here right now. Like, and then there's a weird noise, and George goes, yeah, I wouldn't be so sure about that. And then they hear this weird hissing sound, which George quickly realizes is gas being sent into the boxcar. So he gives Terry a handkerchief, tells him to cover his mouth and nose and try not to breathe, and sends him to like the far corner. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I get that he was trying to protect him, obviously, but there's not really much you could do if you're locked in a train car
With gas, yeah.
with the gas. But it's a sleeping gas because they both fall asleep. And they wake up on a plane. George wakes up first. He tells Terry when he wakes up that they're presumably over the ocean. Terry says he had a headache, and George said that he always gets a headache from sleeping gas too. And Terry's like, how'd you know that that's what it was? And George basically like, because I still know things that they want to know, so they can't kill me.
Yeah. I also just like how he casually drops that he's had sleeping gas multiple times.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it always gives me a headache too. Just walk around a little bit, you'll be fine. And then Black Gloves Man comes in. We finally get his name. We've mentioned it already. His name is Nigel. Voiced by Will Ryan, by the way.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it is.
I didn't even know. I noticed it because he sounds vaguely like Harlow Doyle-ish.
Yeah, it's
Like an evil Harlow Doyle.
Register. Yeah, it's his deeper register. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But it is Will Ryan.
I did notice. Well, I'll say it later when we get to the character because it doesn't make any sense to say now. So.
I think I know what you were going to say, and I feel like more obvious, honestly.
Well, I noticed it, so.
But anyway, he says that they're being taken to London to see Maxime. Who Terry's like, guys, fill me in. I'm not a CIA agent.
Well, he says something. He's like, I take it he's not one of the good guys. Why
Well,
would Nigel be taking you to see one of the good guys
I'm taking you to the CIA headquarters.
in London?
So I guess that'd be like MI6 or something like that.
Am I 6? Am I 4? Am I 5? I don't know which ones are which.
Me neither. One of them is their CIA.
Yes.
But no, because he says they're taking Maxime, and Terry asks who that is, and Nigel asks Catspaw, he's like, shall I tell him, or will you? And basically he's just like, yeah, it's his boss. Mm-hmm. But I think we might have missed this earlier. George Catspaw had told Terry that they had found convincing and like concrete evidence to put away Nigel and the crime ring in general, but they hadn't found, or they hadn't caught him yet, or the leader of the ring, so they were trying to catch him. So we don't fully understand what's going on here, but at the end of the episode, it all kind of makes sense what's going on.
Yeah. Is it at this point that Nigel says that he's basically using Terry as insurance to get what he wants out of George?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they keep going. Nigel says that they should get some rest because they've got a flight, basically. And then the next thing we really get is them in the apartment of Maxime, which is in a tall skyscraper. And there's guys cleaning the windows.
Yeah. Do you get the line?
That will help us later.
Yes. Do you get the line? George says when they're getting out the elevator, something about ladies' shoes and handbags.
Yeah, I never got that.
I don't get that either. Again, let us know what we're missing here.
Yeah. Probably some like crazy code stuff going on that we've never understood.
Yeah, or like I don't know if like the like other floors of this building had like a department store or something, which doesn't make any sense.
It's got to be a fairly normal building because it's not like a national or international crime syndicate would just have their own giant building in the middle of a city and they'd be like, I don't know where their headquarters is.
This isn't the Avengers.
Because obviously they didn't know where Maxime lived, or else they would have not needed this whole endeavor to find him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they get up there, and the elevator takes them right to his living room, essentially, is what
Which Terry thinks is like
says.
the coolest thing.
Yeah. Terry, along the way, as kind of the scared has kind of got out of him, he's more just like, man, this is cool.
Yeah. I think
like,
we probably
he's like just
trust
like
his
picking
dad
up
so much.
stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, what is this?
The shell casings, which who collects shell casings, and what exactly is a shell casing?
It's what's left when you fire a bullet.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what those are. I'm imagining these are bigger though.
Well, yeah, they're
not
not like 22 shell casings.
Okay. Guess I
had a box of shell casings for a while.
Yeah.
From just random. I mean, they probably weren't, because I get the impression these are like large.
Yeah.
Like 2 hands to hold kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But so basically they find that there's a collection of fish in lots of aquariums and shell casings. And then we get Maxime. What kind of accent were they trying to give? Or were they just trying to give him an accent because obviously an international crime syndicate leader would have an accent, but they didn't want to make it too like specific?
I think it's vaguely Russian.
That's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and it's the voice of Hal Smith.
Yes.
Which further seems Russian because he sounds a bit like when he does the scary mouse in The Dream.
Yeah.
Luther, which is like, yeah, so I think it's like vaguely Russian, German, just bad guy.
I was thinking they were just like,
guy.
Speak in an accent, but don't be like profiling, essentially.
Yeah, but it's Russian, I'd say.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, Catspaw, we meet again. I think he says it's a pleasure or something like that. And George is like, yeah, I wish I could say the same.
Yeah, I feel like Maxie was just like your classic stereotypical plays the nice guy, but like
he's
to
trying
kill
to be
you
polite.
at any minute. Yeah.
Uh-huh. He's being polite. He tells Terry, like, you can keep that shell casing you're holding. You know, I've got lots of them. You can hold on to that. Another surprise tool that will help us later.
Yeah. So much foreshadowing.
Basically, they get down to business. Maxime's like, you've got the formula. I want the formula. Catspaw George is like, what makes you think I've got the formula? Maybe your information has led you awry. And Maxime's like, let me explain to you how I hold all the cards and you don't. Uh-huh. We have got the other 4 people who had parts of this formula, whatever it's for. And they told us who had the last part of it. That'd be you.
Yep.
And now I also have your son, so.
Mm-hmm.
There's that. Consider that. But Catspaw George is like, I'm not going to tell you anything. And then we find out one of the fish is piranhas. And essentially Maxime's going to use his piranhas to be torture devices, I guess.
Yeah, he's like, okay, if you're not going to tell me, I'm just going to throw you in the piranha tank. And your son is going to watch you be eaten.
Yeah. Well, he says first he's going to like put his hand in there, basically.
Oh, that's right, yeah. He's going to say he's going to stick George in there.
No. Because they do still need the information.
That's true.
But when he starts to threaten him with the piranhas, I don't know that this was according to plan.
Terry becomes
Terry
a superhero.
Improvises, and he's like, shell casing, hi-ya! Throws it at the fish tank, the piranha fish tank. I would have probably chosen a different fish tank, but I guess they needed a little bit more of an element of surprise.
Yeah, and then I don't know why this line strikes me where Maxime's like, he's broken the piranha tank.
Yeah. But this gives them enough of a diversion for George and Terry to make it to a fire escape. And Terry's like, why are we going to the fire escape? All that's going to take us is to the roof. And George's like, well, that's where we go then. And they get to the roof, and then George is like looking over the edges and stuff. And Terry's like, what are you doing? Like, there's nothing there. And then they're cornered by Nigel, who brought a posse with him this time. It's not just Nigel.
Yeah.
And they're basically like, there's nowhere to go. And Catspaw's like, you needed a whole crew, you couldn't handle me by yourself. And Nigel's like, there's nothing I would rather do. I'm very much so improvising. I don't remember.
I know. You're doing great.
But then as they're having their standoff, George kind of starts a fight, basically. And then you hear Scotland Yard, a guy announcing that he's from Scotland Yard, that they have the building surrounded. They've clearly already got to Maxime's apartment. So I think it's just the guys upstairs that they haven't fully got yet. But basically, it's the end of the road for the crime syndicate. Well, Nigel's like, it's the end of the road for us. We don't need the formula anymore, so Geronimo, have fun. Throws him over the edge.
Pushes George off the side. And Terry's like, no, Dad.
And then one of the police officer, Scotland Yard guys is like, it'll be all right.
And Terry's
He's
like,
no, it won't. What are you talking about? And then his dad says something. I don't know what his dad says.
I don't remember what he says.
But his dad says something as he's coming back up because he fell onto the surprise tool that was going to help us later, the scaffolding of the window washers.
Mm-hmm. Because the window washers were actually agents.
Two of the best.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think this is one thing that's almost more like they put it in there because it's kind of a stereotype. Was like everybody's an agent.
Yes. They're all agents.
Which I put in my notes because it made me think of this, is the Marvel scene when they go to Hawkeye's house and none of the other Avengers knew that he had a family or a house. So Tony starts just going, these are agents of some kind. And then his kids comes like, these are smaller agents.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it made me think of.
Mm-hmm.
But George was explaining to Terry, he's like, I was leading, basically we needed Nigel to lead us here so we could capture Maxime and get the other parts of this formula. Mm-hmm. But the throwing over the edge was because he wanted to retire so he could spend more time with Terry and not have to worry about the CIA. But he needed Nigel and his cronies to think that he was dead, essentially. Mm-hmm. So he let him throw him over the edge so that they would think he was gone. And Nigel didn't have time or even think to look because he was being arrested.
Yeah. I feel like there could have been, like, if this was a movie, Nigel would have seen George rising up on the scaffolding, and then we would have had a second movie of Nigel's revenge.
Yeah.
But this is not a movie. No. This is Odyssey, so Nigel has no clue that George is still alive.
Yep. And then Terry's like, George says that, like, he's retired, so hopefully they can have more exciting adventures. Like they won't have to just stay at home all the time. And Terry's like, I don't know if I can handle any more excitement. The kids back in Odyssey are never going to believe this. Wait till I tell them. And one of the British agents like, I'm afraid you can't do that.
Terry's like, what? Dad's like, yep, this is confidential.
Oh, no.
Then all the agents just kind of laugh at him.
Yeah. And that's
we
about the
can't
end
tell
of the
everybody.
episode. Chris's outro is about like, don't be afraid, God's in control, everything works together for God's plan. But I did find it interesting. This might be the first episode that I remember that there's obviously like you can, when Chris tells you the lesson, you obviously can see it throughout the story, but it's just a story.
It's just for fun, and yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like they were kind of pulling at grasping at straws there at the
Yeah.
end, just
I
to
mean,
make a biblical tie-in.
but
It
there's like no
works.
mention. Yeah, it works, but there's like no overarching biblical tie-in in the
Yeah.
actual episode.
Yeah, we're just having a fun time.
Yeah, and it's a great episode, like super spy. And I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago when we did this Case of the Secret Room. This episode feels less out of place to me because we had that one before. It's like the whole like mystery super spy kind of like a little bit. It's not quite the same,
Yeah,
but it's a lot similar, and so it seems less out of place because they'd already done that episode.
but it's still kind of a new, different thing for this time.
little bit,
obviously.
yeah.
Like,
And this
we don't know
episode
about
is
Wit
almost
yet. Jason's not around
yeah. I'm
yet.
gonna say this episode is almost like a precursor to Jason episodes.
Yeah. And so obviously at this time, they probably didn't have this idea of even Wit being in like a government worker.
Right.
But knowing that, do you think Wit knew that George was a CIA agent?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. He probably works with like Wit or Jason or something.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I don't remember for sure, but I feel like Wit even says something along the lines of like something about his dad being maybe not busy, but like something along the lines of like he knows his dad has other stuff going on kind of at
Yeah.
the beginning. Maybe he doesn't, but I feel like he does.
I think he might, and I don't think there's anything from that to infer Wit does
No.
know. But knowing
But-
what we know
But
later,
you
we
could,
can imagine.
with later knowledge,
he
yeah.
could- Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Maxime is the chairman.
Of what?
I forget. You're not fully through the new stuff. You don't remember or understand the significance of the chairman.
Oh no. I do remember you mentioning that. I haven't got there yet though.
Yeah. Well, the chairman does come up in Novacom, but
Oh, there is that. Yeah, but I've only listened to Novacom once or twice.
yeah.
So
Sorry
Yeah,
to all
I
you
guess-
new listeners who just freaked out because Owen doesn't remember who the chairman is.
I am not as fully versed as she is, or as I'm sure some of our listeners are.
Yeah. Well, you haven't listened all the way through New Odyssey, or not even as
I am
much.
in the 800s. I just finished Wooten and Penny's wedding.
Yeah.
That's as far as I have got.
Yeah. So we're getting there. I have listened to all current episodes up to this point, so.
So yeah, I guess that about does it for this week's episode. Again, this is the end of album 2. Fun album, kind of cool how
Yeah.
they had like the summer theme going throughout it.
Yeah. A lot
we'll
of
get
good
a-
episodes.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit further into our thoughts when we do our tier list, which should be out on Friday. So enjoy that. That'll be on YouTube. So make sure to go over and check that out on Friday. Next week's Odyssey review is our first.
Is-
Yeah, no, it's not our first album 3 episode, but it is an album 3 episode.
Yeah, in our first, not our first album 3, but finally getting to album 3, it is Back to School. It's part of album 3, and album 3 is called
Wait, is
Heroes.
that the what is it?
Honest.
Exaggeration.
I don't even know what the new Nobel Peace Prize is.
Yes, it's the exaggeration episode.
yeah,
Fun
yeah.
times. That'll be
That
it.
is a good
That'll
one.
be a fun one.
And it's followed, we'll get into this more next week, but it's followed by a Lost episode that by the description seems to me to be very similar. So we'll see.
It'd be
How that
interesting.
goes.
I would think the lost episode would come first if that was.
You
the
would
case.
think, but it does not.
Interesting. Well, we'll see. Yeah. So does that do it for this week? Any other thoughts?
I don't think so. Sorry, my computer is making noises because I silenced my phone, but I forget to silence my computer. So sorry about that.
So I guess, as always, we thank you for watching and or listening. Subscribe wherever you get our podcast. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. And then, yeah, make sure to head over to YouTube on Friday to catch our tier list for album 2. And we will see you next time.
Yep. Bye.